Hello, everybody. Again, welcome to the Basement Boys Podcast, Episode 4. I am Chris Gray. That is Devin Mitchell.
Yo, what up?
Sitting in front of his couch, not on it.
Yeah, we don't play by your rules over here.
All right, as you can probably hear, we promised you every week production getting better and better and better. We went out and got Devin a microphone.
And by we mean Chris.
I went out and got Devin a microphone. Yeah. So already bringing the promises. We promised you in episode 1. All it took was episode 4, and we were actually prepared to have an episode of this podcast. First time ever, Dad. How does it feel?
Scary. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very scared.
All right, let's just jump right into it. Once again, pretty much right after we announce something, everything changes when it comes to the UFC. We announce the event's off. Fucking 2 days later, data comes out and says, new event right back on, and we have to wait a whole week to talk about it. So, UFC coming back May 9th. It's pretty much the same event from the May 18th card. It's not going to be at the Tachi Palace. It's going to most likely be in Las Vegas at the Apex. I guess they're loosening up some of their restrictions so that the UFC will be able to put on their smaller production. And it's actually, I feel like, a better thing for it to be there because that place is streamlined to have full production with minimal staff for things like the Contender Series or things like, I guess Tough is going to be in there too now that they sold the Tough House and all that. So I think it's probably a safer environment. It's a little smaller, but the UFC literally controls every aspect of it, where they don't have to, with arenas and just any other place they could have this, they have to deal with these people's rules. Plus they can do whatever they want with their smaller production. I feel like that'll work out for them. But yeah, it's basically the same card. It's back to Gaethje versus Ferguson. Ferguson is a fucking weirdo and decided to, even though this fight was off and he knew it was going to May 9th, he still said he was going to cut weight for this event and make 155, and he did it.
Damn.
He made 155 on Saturday for no reason, just to turn around and have to make it again on May 9th. And he was on Tough, like the Ultimate Fighter, so he's a little more used to having to cut weight that quickly, I guess, because it's a reality show. They're filming it over a certain amount of months. You're living with your opponents and stuff like that, and so you have to keep, if you keep winning fights, you have to keep cutting weight in short periods of time, which is not a normal thing for fighters. It's probably not a healthy thing, so I think he'll be able to handle it. Still gonna be a fireworks fight. I don't see a way that either Justin Gaethje or Tony Ferguson would be able to have a boring fight with the scenario they're in, just the style of fighters they're facing. You also have Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz, which a lot of people don't necessarily like, and I'm 50-50 on it because I think Dominic Cruz has earned his spot has enough name value, has enough just legacy of the things he's done in this sport, probably the best bantamweight of all time, to warrant an immediate title shot coming back, even though he was soundly dismantled by Cody Garbrandt. And I'm pretty sure that's the last time he fought. And that was on the same card that Ronda Rousey got knocked out by Amanda Nunes.
Ooh, so that was a while ago.
Yeah, and it's been a while. I still think if Cruz comes back still at high level again, maybe not his full potential of he once was. He's obviously been dealing with this plantar fasciitis issue. Like his feet are just a wreck. I think he's torn both ACLs in both knees, and he's just getting older. So we'll see how that affects him because he's a very much movement-based guy. We were supposed to have Amanda Nunes and Felicia Spencer on this card. Unfortunately, that one fell out because I think that would actually be a great fight. I really don't see Amanda, as much as I think it'll be a fun fight and it'll be more competitive than people think. I just don't think Felicia Spencer's there to handle Nunes yet. But unfortunately, she had to be taken off the card. They didn't give a super amount of reason behind it. But I'm guessing, like, I don't know if she's in Brazil right now or she's in America. I know she lives with her girlfriend, so she's probably in America, but I don't recall seeing much on that. And then also the next biggest fight on the card is still Francis Ngannou versus Rosenstruik. Just going to be an credible fight. Someone's going to sleep. It's just impossible not to. Someone just needs to barely nick the other guy with the power that those two have, and someone's going out.
So you telling me I should get a pillow ready for them?
Oh yeah, someone's going to sleep.
All right, the pillow and blanket's ready for them, whichever one wants it.
All right. So yeah, that one's gonna be a real fun card. What are you saying?
So I was gonna say, is it safe to say that am I allowed to trust Whitey this time, or still don't trust Whitey?
I think that Nevada is moving more towards allowing things like this than California is. Mm-hmm. And I think the only reason the fight got called off is because Gavin Newsom called the head of Disney.
Right.
I think it's crazy to think that Disney did not want this card to go on. They are paying the UFC a lot of money. Every pay-per-view they put on, whether it does good or bad, it gets paid at a certain threshold level.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very, very expensive deal for them. And a deal that, on a card like this, that will be a huge card that everyone is going to buy because, A, people just don't have anything to do.
Yep.
And B, 90% of the main card, it could be a main event on a different card, and most likely was a main event on a different card, but those events had to get canceled and shuffled around.
Gotcha.
So there's I don't see a way Disney did not want that to go on. They wanted it to go on just as bad as Dana did. They were standing to make a shit ton of money in a climate where no one's making money, especially anything with sports.
Right.
The Mets' value just went down $1 billion in a few weeks.
I'm waiting for it to get to like triple digits when I can justify maybe buying them.
It went from 2.6 billion to 1.6 billion in a matter of like 2 months.
Yeah, still too much money for me to buy.
But the point I'm trying to make is no one's making money in sports right now.
Right.
ESPN couldn't afford to lose this just the same way the UFC couldn't afford to lose this. But when the governor of the state you're in calls you and says, "Hey, I need you to not do this," you're probably not going to do it.
Yeah, he's got a lot of pull. Let's be real. Like you said, if he says it, you kind of have to listen to him.
So the fact that this is more under the UFC's control, the fact that the UFC is so close to the Nevada State Athletic Commission because the former owner used to be on it. That's how they got regulated in the first place. And Las Vegas is their epicenter. Everything goes out of there. They go and do fights other places, but
Las Vegas is like home to UFC.
Las Vegas is basically like the home game for the UFC, where going these other places are away. You're going to play a lot more home games than you are away games. Gotcha. It might not be equal anymore like it used to be, or before it was almost for a while back in like the darker ages of MMA when it wasn't legal other places. Almost every other event at the very least was at Las Vegas. So I think it's a commission that will be willing to work with them. It is their environment. It is the Apex is literally just Dana White land. Dana White can do whatever the hell he wants in the Apex. So I feel more comfortable that this is going to happen. I've also heard that if Las Vegas starts getting sketchy, if Las Vegas blah 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 doesn't want to do it, they are looking to have a secondary venue possibly in Florida, seeing as the WWE was just named an essential business over there. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know this. Dana White and Vince McMahon are actually pretty close, and Dana models his business style almost after Vince McMahon to some degree. Like he's always his production has always looked up to Vince for like ideas. They don't go as crazy with it with the lights and the sounds and the blah blah blah, but if you look up any interview with Dana White where he's talking about Vince McMahon, you just see the type of admiration he has for him. So they're actually pretty close, and at the very least, I feel like they might be able to even work out a deal with the WWE to use some of their areas, like even like maybe where they did WrestleMania or something like that.
Down at the Performance Center?
Yeah.
Now, would they have to? They would obviously have to build a brand new ring then, if they were to do it in the Performance Center, right?
Well, yeah. They do. There are a lot of fights, like MMA fights in rings, in like rings with ropes and everything. For the longest time, that's all it was, and then the UFC is kind of the one that brought in the cage fighting aspect of it. But yeah, like places like One Championship in Singapore, like they're the head of MMA promotion in like the Asian market.
Okay.
They not only do MMA, but they do like kickboxing and Muay Thai. They don't do regular boxing or anything like that, and they don't do like straight jiu-jitsu or wrestling, but they do kickboxing and Muay Thai as well. So usually it's depending on what the main event is, it's what style of either ring or cage you're going to get that night. So they do that.
Okay.
But the UFC is just such a well-oiled machine at getting everyone together, getting their stuff moved to China, and then in the next few weeks, France, and then the next few weeks back to Las Vegas. So that I'm not worried about them getting it there and getting all that stuff together. I have no doubt Dana White can figure that out.
Gotcha.
He moved a fight from New York City to Dothan, Alabama in a night.
Oh, damn.
Because New York City after they booked the event, tried to say that, oh, you can only do open hand slaps and no kicking and stuff like that. It was crazy.
So Dana was just like, all right, cool. Bye. We're going to somewhere else. And then Alabama it is.
Overnight. That's one of the craziest stories of the UFC I've ever heard. But yeah, just still going to be a fun card. You have any comments on it, Dev? Comments, questions, concerns?
No, I mean, listen, it seems like this time, we can trust a white man, and by white man, I mean Dana White, and all the top guys up in the Nevada Athletic Commission, and it'd be a great move for them. Like you said, you're gonna be able to put on a fight, which gives people entertainment. It gives bookies a reason to take money, and it gives people another reason to drop money with that stimulus check that just came through and gamble.
Yeah, it did.
Listen, I don't know much, but maybe I'll go put a couple bucks on Ferguson, see what happens.
If I was gonna put money, that's who it'd be on. Even though Gaethje's no joke, man. I felt like a lot of people thought Khabib was gonna walk through Ferguson, which is just insane to me. And then I feel like now a lot of people think Ferguson is just gonna walk through Gaethje, which again is just insane to me. These three guys are the consensus guys that should be fighting for the belt at any time, in my opinion. Right now, I don't think even Conor's there because he's had his extracurricular activities outside of the UFC for a while. It seems like he's getting his head back right now. He looked great in the Cowboy fight, even though we didn't get to see a lot of it, but he looked like he was moving like he used to. But these guys, all three that are involved in this main event in some way, shape, or form deserve to be there. And it's one of the few times that we get that. Moving on, just wanted to touch on it real quick. The WNBA recently had their draft, and to start it off, they made Gianna Bryant, Alyssa Altobelli, and Peyton Chester honorary 2020 WNBA draft picks, and I just love seeing things like that. This was obviously all these girls worked for their entire lives, was wanting to be there, and they never got that chance, and it's just terrible. And at least in some way they can be remembered or appreciated for all the effort they put into basketball throughout their lives.
Yeah, I mean, great move by the WNBA. Well, take, a tragedy and to turn it into something positive and honor these girls that, like you said, were working so hard and just win the game of basketball, and wherever it may be, whether it be, travel games, school games, different leagues and stuff, that's where their focus was. And they probably would have made it to the league and would have been drafted. So, good job for the WNBA to recognize that and to honor them.
Yeah, I really thought that was great of them. And these are the types of just little things that make you feel good, that help you get through a time like this. So I wanted to throw that in there. Just to touch on something we already talked about. We were talking about last week the trade rumor between the Jets and the Cowboys. I just got updated right as we are sitting here right now. So breaking
We're coming
news
to you at real time.
Jerry Jones basically just had an interview where he put the kibosh on that whole thing. They've made it clear that they're not trading Amari Cooper. I thought it was weird that they were going to sign him and then trade him, but I thought they just valued Jamal Adams that much as a player, which I completely agree with. But the only other option really was a first round pick, and Jerry Jones straight up said, "Why would I waste a first round pick that is probably going to be some sort of franchise, basically saying a controllable contract, a lighter contract, where in the first round it's harder to miss, especially when Jerry Jones has trust in his GM. Mm-hmm. He's a very involved owner. Whether or not you think he makes the right or wrong decisions, he, being as involved as he is, he has to be at least somewhat informed on the day-to-days of the Cowboys and how that stuff. So I feel like he has the trust in his GM to be like, you know what, I'd rather get this guy we don't have to pay for longer than get this guy that we're going to have to pay in a couple of years, even though we know he's such an incredible talent. And I mean, you get to keep Amari Cooper too, so.
Yeah, it's a win for the Cowboys. They're not going to be, I mean, they're already strapped for cash in a sense with the whole Dak Prescott need to get paid, even with Dak signing that 1-year franchise tag. He's looking for that long-term money, and I would say he deserves it. You know, he leads the Cowboys, and he's gotten to the playoffs a couple of times, and ideally you want to keep that core of Amari, Dak, and Zeke, you know, together. So why not sit back, not trade their first-round pick, get another player that could help you, and it's also, like you said, a lot cheaper and a lot more controllable.
Yeah, that's the checkers to chess of Jerry Jones versus some of these other owners. As much as I'm not a big fan of Jerry Jones, I think he's one of the biggest reasons that the players are put in bad scenarios sometimes. Like, he's the one who pushes for those types of things that are owner friendly, not player friendly.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to his business and when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, that man is the epitome of checkers, not chess.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he saw what the Giants did with Odell, and he said, it's a bad move. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make that same mistake and sign a player and then trade him.
Unless it's for the right piece.
Yeah. As a Giant fan, I'm still recovering from the Odell trade.
Yeah, well. I mean, what'd you really get back for him?
Jabril Peppers and
I think a second round pick or something like that. Maybe it might have been a second and a fourth or something like that.
Or a late first round. I don't know.
Something like that. I'm pretty sure it wasn't a first round though.
I might be mistaken.
Who knows? Anyway, keeping it on the NFL, the GMs and the whole teams actually, they had a dry run of the NFL draft to kind of work out how it's going to even be possible with all this, with the Zoom and, you know, trying to do trades. I guess they did the first 2 rounds, and in the first round, 16 of the picks had to be trades, so each team could experience what it's like to do a trade.
Okay.
And apparently besides the Bengals getting 2 minutes behind announcing their first pick due to some form of complications,
or the fact that you have an indoor practice facility,
or anything really, or anything of value, and but besides that and a couple other hiccups, I guess when they first called into the call, like the moderator person had to be like, all right, everyone press mute on your fucking phones. But once they got rolling, apparently it started to go smoothly. I've heard a lot of people say they could run into a real problem with bandwidth at these GMs' homes, but it didn't seem to be that big of a problem. But that could be a real problem because most of these people just have regular old family Wi-Fi networks that maybe their grandkids go on with their iPads, stuff like that.
You gotta tell little Johnny and little Susie not to use their iPads during this time because they're gonna need all the bandwidth they can get.
Yeah, they're gonna have to take those things away because I know my ass wouldn't listen as a kid. So,
yo, tell them to go read a book. You've been out of school for too long. Read a book.
I mean, I guess that could be their homeschooling for the day. Yeah, but it's also interesting to see how different people approached it. Like, I forget which team it was, but I was looking up something about like their setups. They had 3 separate hardwired desktops with 4 screens. I think 2 separate cameras, 2 or 3 separate cameras, a TV behind them for the live broadcast, and then, like I said, 4 TVs, one for specifically for trades, one to talk to their scouting department, one to make the pick, one to whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your GM, Dev. Good old Dave Gettleman.
I'm not sure, but he might be trying to get a job on the podcast with his setup. You got one laptop on a table,
A cup
one
of
phone.
coffee, and a ham sandwich.
Like, I'm sorry. As a GM, I read that article, and I think it had the picture of John Lynch, the 49ers GM, and his setup looked phenomenal. That's a setup I want my GM.
I think that's who I was talking about, if I remember correctly, now that you mention it. Anyway.
Yeah, that's the setup that I want my team to have, because you don't know who's calling you at what hour, being like, hey, we want to make a deal. You know, like, let's trade up, let's trade down, let's make some magic. You know, you got 3 different phones, so because that phone's going to be ringing off the hook, all the different screens, so you can see what's going on, and hopefully put your team in the right place for the future, and eventually be able to raise the Lombardi Trophy.
From what I've heard, he's tried. I haven't heard the direct quote yet. I apologize for that, but from what I have seen and read, he's trying to spin it as, look, I'm not a technology guy, so I don't want to overload myself with all this stuff. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible so I can lock in and do my job, because he doesn't have the experience with technology. And while I understand that, I feel like, especially right now, if you got that setup put in, and I'm sure the team would pay for that because they're investing in their future, you have time to get acquainted. You have time to have the IT guy come in and show you how everything works. And there are ways that they can, even with that setup, strip it down to just a few controls for you, while everything else is doing all the processing and making things happen, but set it up in a way that, okay, you press this button for this, you press this button for that. And I feel like where it seems more daunting, because you have all these screens and all these microphones and all these cameras and whatever else in the room, you can also use that same technology to streamline it better than just doing it through your laptop. So I think that's a kind of weak excuse.
Oh, it's a total weak excuse, because they've known for a good couple weeks now that most likely the draft was going to be done virtually. And you're right, the teams would have sent someone over there and been like, hey, we need you to hook up his system and also make it as simple as possible so that he won't mess it up and he understands what's going on. You teach Gettleman learns some things, takes some notes, and at the very least, maybe you get one of your grandkids to come in here, because kids and technology nowadays, they just go hand in hand.
And now we're going to get into our picks for how we think this 2020 mock draft may go down. We have this one pre-recorded. We wanted a little more time to polish it, a little more time to sit on the picks after we made them, just in case we wanted to make any changes or anything like that. So, yeah, we will kick it over to the draft right now. Hope you guys enjoy. And here you go. All right, guys, let's get into the draft. Starting at number 1, I am going to go out on a little bit of a limb here right away. I am going to say that I believe the Dolphins are super sold on Joe Burrow.
Oh, snap.
I believe that within the period from now until the draft, or maybe even close to draft time, not on the clock because it's the first pick, but I believe the Dolphins will trade up for the number 1 pick and take Joe Burrow, quarterback from LSU.
Damn. Coming out hot right there.
Hot take, I know, but I just really have a feeling on this one. I don't know. I just really think it's a move that would be good for the Dolphins because they just have so many picks stockpiled right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they still have Fitzpatrick under contract for this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Obviously, everyone's given up on Rosen.
Ooh, exactly.
So I really think it could be a smart move for them. Bengals could just stockpile a few more picks, and I mean they have a lot of space to fill on that team. They have a lot of holes to fill on that team. I think it would be a smart move on their part.
Okay.
So who do you have for number 1, Dev?
Well, I'm just going to be, just like everyone else, Cincinnati, Ohio. Going to the Ohio kid from LSU, quarterback, Joe Burrow. I think it's a smart choice for them. I think if anything, they get that veteran quarterback, whether it be Dalton or Cam or whoever, you could just sit Joe Burrow in there for, let's be real, half a season, and then be ready to unleash him come the second half of the season, and then he's your future. And plus, it's a great story. Ohio born, dad played football, and come on, represent the home state and everything. People go crazy over that.
Yeah. If it does turn out like that, I definitely wouldn't be surprised per se. But yeah, I think it could be a strong play for the Dolphins. I think it could be a strong play for the Bengals. But at the same time, Joe Burrow had a monster year last year.
Mm-hmm.
He led his team undefeated, national title, Heisman winner.
Cigar smoking.
Yeah, exactly. Taking real money from Odell.
Allegedly.
All right, so anyway you look at it, Joe Burrow is almost definitely the number 1 pick. Mm-hmm. I really don't see it going any other way. And if the Bengals take anyone but Joe Burrow without trading back, I think it's a waste.
Agreed.
All right, so pick number 2, Washington Redskins. I think this is going to be same across the board. I think he's one of the 2 close to consensus best players available in this draft. And I think they're going Chase Young, defensive end from Ohio State. Yeah, absolute monster.
It makes sense. He's going to terrorize my Giants for the next 5 years, more or less. And yeah, it's a smart move for the Redskins. Like Chase Young all day, Ohio State Buckeye.
And look at the difference Bosa made this year.
Mm-hmm.
I always forget which brother's which because there's like 3 of them, I think.
Nick is, I think, with San Francisco.
Yeah, Nick Bosa. Whichever. It's one of the one.
Yeah, the one that was like, you know what, Ohio State, I want to rehab this injury and get right for the NFL and come in like a wrecking ball and just destroy everybody.
And help bring that team to a Super Bowl. A defensive end can just make an insane amount of difference on any team. You need the quarterback and you need the guy who's going to get after the other team's quarterback.
Half the game is preventing the quarterback from doing his job, and Chase Young looks like he's going to do that.
Exactly. So, I'm guessing that's the same for you?
Yep. Yeah, sorry. I forgot to say. I got Washington taking Chase Young, the Buckeye, at number 2 overall.
All right. Pick 3. Going another safe pick. It's the Lions, obviously. I got them, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher this name, but I'm having them take Jeff Okudah, cornerback from Ohio State. They're obviously in great need of a cornerback. He's the best quarterback in the draft from the sources I've seen. And yeah, second Ohio State guy taken in the top 5.
See, this is where I'm going to differ from you. And what's this? I'm going to say trade alert. And this is where Miami makes the move.
Ooh,
I think Miami's going to trade with Detroit, move up to that 3rd pick. And in that 3rd pick, they're going to take Tua from Alabama, quarterback. They've been all in on Tua. They've been saying that he's their boy. Pretty sure at the start of the college football season, everyone was like, yeah, we're going for Tua no matter what. I don't care who else is coming out. Tua is a Dolphin. So I feel like they're going to do what they can to move up to number 3 and grab him.
See, I feel like I've heard differently. I feel like I've heard the room is a little more split, and half the team. I think they're sold on Burrow. I think half the team is sold, like half the scouting department, I guess, is on Tua, and half is on Justin Herbert. So I don't know if they make that jump for Tua. The only reason I would see them do it is as a block kind of for the Chargers. So whichever quarterback they want, they're going to get.
Right.
All right. So first 3 picks. We're actually different a little. I thought we were going to be pretty similar, but we're only the safest pick there is the one we agree on.
You gave me more time to think about it, and it just seemed right. What can I say?
All right. So for pick 4, why don't you go first on this one, Dev? Because these are your boys.
Well, my New York Giants, Big Blue. We're going back to the trenches. We're going to do everything we can to protect Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes himself. That's why they go on offensive line. Jeff Willis, Alabama. Smart move on their part. They need to shore up that line, give that boy some protection. Also, if you open up the room, you got Saquon there just ready to burst out through the hole.
Yeah, I definitely think offensive line would be a smart move for them. I think I'm not 100% sold that they're going offensive line. But yeah, so that I guess would bring me to my pick. Being not 100% sold that they're going offensive line, I have the Giants taking Isaiah Simmons, linebacker out of Clemson. I think him and Chase Young are the 1-2 best players in the draft. I think the Giants defense has been the crux of the organization for a few years now. And they need to get some bodies in there. They've been doing a lot of work to lessen the load salary cap wise in the defense over the past few years, and I feel like this is another move. It could be another move to help do that. And guy's just a monster. He's just a monster of a player. So,
yes, he is.
All right.
He's basically all defense. Let's just be real. You can't classify him as a linebacker because that boy is just going to be everywhere.
Him and Chase Young will be competing for Defensive Player of the Year. Let's put it Defensive Rookie of the Year, I mean.
Yep.
And probably Defensive Player of the Year down the line.
Down the line. I was going to say this year, J.J. Watt, if he stays healthy, he looked like he got something to prove.
I can see it. All right, so now on to number 5. So, as you know, I already, for the first pick, had a trade back scenario. I said the Dolphins would trade from the Bengals, which would bring the Bengals back to number 5, where I think The Bengals take Tua Tagovailoa. I think I said it right. Let's go.
You're a better man than me because I didn't even try.
Quarterback, Alabama, and I think it would be a smart move. I think it would be a good move for them because it's been showing he's again, they can stockpile more picks, and he's been showing in all his medical tests recently that the hip injury hasn't affected him as much as it could have. It's not worst case scenario. It's honestly one of the best case scenarios he could have hoped for. He's looking real good, and the Bengals have a history of making questionable decisions that could or could not pay off. And honestly, just usually for them, they don't. But I'd hope in this case that's not the fact, because I do actually really like Tua. I think from what I've seen of him, I think he looks like a cool dude.
Yeah. All right, so for my number 5 pick, we had Miami trading up to Detroit. So Detroit's sitting at number 5, and this is when they're going to draft their cornerback Jeff Okudu out of Ohio State.
I think it's Akuda, but I'm not sure.
I'm sorry. I skipped that day of production class.
I am the worst at pronouncing names, so that could be completely wrong.
Yeah, smart move for them after getting rid of Darius Slay for pennies on the dollar. They're definitely looking to bolster that defense, and you got Desmond Trufant on one side. He's looking to make a comeback after kind of fading away in Atlanta last season. And what better way than for Matt Patricia to get right than get a rookie, help establish that culture, that so-called Lions, aka Patriots culture, and get that team going in the right direction.
Yeah. Obviously, we both agree that that's the guy the Lions should take. And I really do believe that's wherever they pick, that's what they will end up with. I just don't see any other teams taking a quarterback that high or trying to trade into that position for a cornerback. So,
yep.
Pick 6, Chargers. I think they're going on with the last of the big 3 quarterbacks, Justin Herbert, who out of the two between Tua and him, I believe is the safer option. I don't think he would be, if everything's good with Tua, I don't think he'd be quite as NFL ready as Tua. But they have Tyrod Taylor, I believe, is who they just signed. Even if he has to sit behind him for a year, he's a guy who, while maybe has not had the most success, he's been a starting quarterback in the league. He knows what it entails and has had some success. He hasn't been completely unsuccessful the whole time. So I think it's a good move. I think either way, if he plays or doesn't this year, the Chargers, I'm not necessarily saying will be good, but I'll say that they will at the very least, quarterback play won't be the problem.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I also have Justin Herbert going number 6 to San Diego. Like you said, it'd be a smart move for them. They need a quarterback of the future, and nothing on Tyrod, but he's already been with the the LA Chargers now for a year, so he knows the system, and he's a solid quarterback. Unfortunately, he's just been hit with the injury bug, whether it was in Buffalo or Cleveland. So Justin Herbert going to sit behind Tyrod for that year, take some notes, learn the game and everything. Boom, year 2, Justin Herbert show. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that's I think any way you look at it, that's a solid pick for them. So moving on to the Panthers. Just straight to it, I think they take Derek Brown, defensive tackle out of Auburn. I think he would be a real nice added to that already solid defensive line. And I think he could put them into the next level. And I think he's also just another one of those guys who falls a little more because I think he's worth higher of a draft pick. I think he's worth like top 3, top 4. But I think at the same time he is just a victim of need for other teams.
See, here's where I differ. I think if the Giants going back to the Giants pick, if they stick with their offensive line and go with Jeff Willis, Carolina's going with Isaiah Simmons, linebacker for Clemson. Coming off the surprise retirement of Luke Kuechly, they're going to need someone in the middle of that field on the defense, someone that eventually will grow into being a field general. What better person than Isaiah Simmons, who, let's be real, like we said before, he's going to be flying all over that field. And I'm sure if that happens, he cannot wait to try to tackle Tom Brady and Drew Brees.
Yeah. Strong pick for them. Like I said, probably if not the highest rated, the second highest rated player in the draft. If he fell that far, I think it'd be ridiculous.
I think at that point it's called a steal, and you got to call the police.
Yeah, that's almost as much of a steal as when Jamal Adams fell to us at 8. Like, that was crazy. All right, going on to the Cardinals. Obviously, new quarterback, Kyler Murray, young quarterback, want to protect him, mobile quarterback. So needs a little bit of that extra protection, and I feel like right tackle was one of their weaker points in their already below average offensive line last year. So I think the Cardinals take offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. He is a natural right tackle. I think he's a plug and play player right away. And yeah, I feel like would fit well into what the Cardinals are trying to do right now.
And I totally agree with that. Like, it makes sense for the Cardinals, like with Kyler Murray back there, and that boy, he gonna be something special. Let's give him, the tools to succeed, and let's give him some protection. And what better way than protecting him, but then with Tristan Wirfs.
Wirfs,
right?
I think.
Wirfs. I'm sorry.
Wirfs, I think.
I apologize.
Again, I'm just guessing too, so I could be wrong.
But yeah, safe pick for the Cardinals right there. Taking the Hawkeye.
All right, on to the Jags. I have them taking another defensive tackle, Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina. I think it's just another guy who, again, is up there. I think they'd be happy that he fell to them at 9. And, yeah. I think they could also go offensive line, but I don't know how much they're all in on Minshew yet. So I don't know how much they're willing to invest in setting up, where having a strong offensive line always helps, setting up their offensive line around him, per se, to his strengths or weaknesses. So I think going the other side of the ball would be probably their safer bet.
Yeah, I agree with that pick. They're looking to replace Calais Campbell, who said, "Hey guys, it's been real. Thanks for everything, but I'm outie." And what better way than going with Kinslew? That boy looks like he ready to play, and a smart, safe move for them.
Agree. So now I'm on the Browns. Pick 10. We're actually going to pick 11 in this instead of the top 10, just because Devin gets to pick his Giants, so I'm going to pick my Jets. Fuck you. Just so you know.
It's on. Snoopy Bowl comes early this year.
All right, so pick 10. Browns. Definitely need an offensive lineman. It'll finally take away Baker's last excuse to whether or not he is the quarterback that they drafted him to be. And I'm saying that as a Baker fan. I think he's hysterical. I think he's a character, and I think that's something sports really need. I feel like if everyone's that dry cookie cutter, do it by the book, what the people like, it gets a little played and boring.
Yep.
And some of the stuff he does is stupid, but he's not necessarily hurting anyone, like, per se. So that I just feel like that's why I like him. Like, people might not like the flick to Hugh Jackson, which I fucking loved. I loved that. That was so funny.
That was pretty epic.
But so yeah, I have them taking Jedrick Wills Jr., offensive tackle out of Alabama. Someone you had going in the top 4, I believe. Dev, couldn't get that word out.
Yes. Sorry. Had to look at my draft board real quick and stuff. It's a mess right now. There's been a lot of cross-outs and arrows and yeah.
Yeah, I had to rewrite my whole thing right before this. I get it.
I also agree that the Browns are going for offensive line, trying to give Baker, like you said, that one last excuse of why he's not performing to standards and stuff. And I'm thinking, though, they're going from one bulldog to another dog, and that's offensive tackle Andrew Thomas. Always ready to play. Like I said, like, he going out there and he going to help sort of shore up that offensive line. With them making moves to get Jeff Conklin from Tennessee on the left side, you plug him on the right side, you got your ends taken care of, boom. It's go time for the Browns.
And from what I've been hearing, these Odell trade rumors are not necessarily true. They're pretty much saying they're still all in with him. So if you give Baker time back there with Landry, with Odell, with
don't forget they got
Chubb.
Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I was going to say Nick Chubb. With I think Kareem Hunt's still signed for this year, is he not?
I believe he is.
Both huge weapons out of the backfield.
And don't forget they signed Austin Hooper.
Yes, and they signed Austin Hooper. So if he gets some protection and he has time to throw the ball and he cannot make a run with that many options, that many elite first tier options, some teams are lucky to have one of those.
Mm-hmm. Giants war.
Jets haven't had one in years.
But yeah,
he
Baker
can't really
get it done with that team. I'm sorry, Baker. I like you, but they're gonna ship you out.
Bust City.
Almost on the level of Jamarcus Russell.
And just saying, I don't believe he's gonna be a bust. I believe that with this setup, and he has the time to throw the ball, I believe he will be able to make plays. We saw it in his first year.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe midway through the season, his confidence was a little rattled with everything going on, plus not having the time to throw the ball. People talk about Sam Darnold seeing ghosts. Same idea.
Right.
People won't ever let me live that down.
Nope.
All right. That was the weirdest laugh. All right, on to pick 11. I got like phlegm in my throat and it came out like that was weird.
That might be a soundbite.
Nah, for real. So pick 11, had to do my Jets. Who I have them taking, who I actually really hope falls to us. Not that it's not that it's a super stretch he falls to us. A lot of people like him, and with what came out at the combine, I think people might look at him a little bit differently, even though for all intents and purposes, it seems he's like made that right with teams. I have the Jets taking Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle out of Louisville. Guy's a fucking monster, 6'7", 364 pounds, light on his feet. I think ran a 5.01 at the combine. For a guy that size is incredible. I would really love this pick. I think he's a little raw. Might run into a couple building blocks in his rookie, like roadblocks, whatever, in his rookie season. But I think could be polished into one hell of a lineman. And I think while he's still raw, I think he is as well plug and play, just maybe not to the full potential right away.
I feel you. I totally agree with that pick because that's my pick for you boys. Like you said, he's 6'7", 300. I'm sorry, 320 pounds. No,
368 pounds.
Okay, wow, I was underselling him. 368 pounds. Listen, he's light on his feet. He's going to be raw, but this is a big boy. Like, you're going to try to run around him, and you're going to run into that tree trunk that he calls his arm, and you ain't going to be able to get Sam. And you know what? This might be Sam. He might be finally able to call the Ghostbusters and stop seeing them ghosts.
Fuck you, dude. No, but did you see the video of this guy at the combine where they're doing that push drill?
Mm-hmm.
Where when he would hit those guys, it looked like he was straight just punching them in the chest without any padding. They were wincing so hard. This guy is a fucking monster, and I would be very happy if he became to the Jets. If he came to the Jets.
He would be an amazing pick for them boys.
Definitely. All right. We're not going to bore you with a full 32 round. We just wanted to get the main big draft picks, the highest rated players. Just get into it a little bit. So there it is. That's our mock draft 2020. And now let's get back on with the show. All right, guys, that was a draft.
Good draft. Good draft.
A couple little trades, tricky things in there. I think I went more out on a limb than Devin did with my big trade.
Damn right, you did.
Hey, I really could see it happening, though. I'm not saying it's a guarantee. I'm not Joe Namath over here. But
listen, Broadway Chris.
I'd love it if you started calling me that. You have no idea.
Done.
All right, so that was fun. Just a couple ideas of what we thought might happen, what we still think might happen, because the draft still hasn't happened yet. But neither of us are the biggest college football guys, but we tried to put in our due diligence, and I must have read every single mock draft out there for this year. I must have read every breakdown on every player. So I think we made some good choices there, and I think I'm excited to see how they play out against what actually happens.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun to see, and to compare it to like what actually happens. Like if I get 5 picks right, I'm gonna be happy with that. But if it's just, let's just say we get them all right, like, hey, we might need to do a job. We might need to become college football analysts.
Exactly, yo. I know I definitely need to be a college football analyst.
I mean, I would not be. I'd be okay with that.
All right. So we'll finish it off with the biggest news of the weekend, Everyone's seen it. Everyone has their own opinions on it. And I thought it, just all in all, I thought it was just really, really well put together. The Last Dance, the story of what led up to the final Bulls season, the final Bulls championship season.
97, 98.
So, you know what? I'll kick it off to you on this one, Dev, because once again, you are the basketball guy. That's basketball talk.
Yeah, that's basketball talk. No, I agree. It was well put together. Like, I'm mad that I have to wait a week for the next 2 episodes. And it, like, as a basketball fan, you know, I vaguely remember the 97, 98 Bulls. And I remember, you know, wow, you had Jordan, you had Pippen, you had Rodman, and you had Phil. But it's like all this little stuff that was going behind the scenes. And whether it be Scottie Pippen getting injured and feeling undervalued, which he was, being the second on that team in points, minutes, rebounds, I think assists, steals. Like, he was.
And you're second to MJ.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right, which means if MJ wasn't on the team, Scottie's their number one. And back in 91, didn't know this, Scottie signed I think it was a 5-year deal worth $18 million. And everyone was like, Scottie, don't do this, you know, but Scottie was a humble dude, didn't want to take a chance of getting hurt and like losing out on that payday and also being able to provide for his family back home in Arkansas. And by the time 97, 98 rolls around, Scottie is getting paid like pennies compared to everyone else. I think I saw that he had the 122nd highest salary in the NBA. It's ridiculous for a number 2.
And that's right when the NBA started really taking off again because of Jordan Mania, because of Bulls Mania. So the thing he is creating, the revenue he is creating, he is not getting a share of.
Right.
Because he went and took the safe route.
Right. And, you know, meanwhile, you got Mike getting paid like $30 million for however long. And yeah, he's Michael Jordan. He's the greatest of all time. But you got to recognize Scottie and the Bulls, like their management, whether I think it was Jerry Krause, he was like, okay, you know, most of these guys are done. We're going to start rebuilding them, and kind of like slap them in the face a little bit. It was just like, yeah, you guys could win a championship, but we're not going to try. Like, this is it. You guys are done.
Because he wanted the credit for it.
Right, which is ridiculous.
Jerry Krause came out as the biggest villain in this whole documentary.
Oh, yeah.
And it almost seems like a hit piece on a dead man, which is kind of sad. But when you hear like other former players, people that weren't part of the Jordan era Bulls, who were like right before or right after, who had to deal with Krause, they're saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're completely corroborating these stories. It just feels weird going so hard on a guy who can't defend himself when everyone else is there to defend themselves.
Right. And like, I'll give Krause all the credit in the world because he did assemble that team and did put together the pieces to win, you know, 6 championships. But at some point, you know, you got to take a look in the mirror and be like, you know what? I'm the behind the scenes kind of guy. You know, these players, these coaches, they're the ones that are out there putting together like my vision for them. And you guys sit back. And then it might not be right away, but a little bit down the road, everyone's going to be like, yo, Jerry Krause, he did a good job. He put together a great team.
That's the thing. I feel like the teams that are always good or always put on like a decent product, maybe miss the playoffs, but don't go 3-11 very often.
Right.
I feel like you almost never know who their GM is.
Right.
Unless you're in that city following that team.
Right. They're very quiet. You know, they're going to be in the stand. They could be in the stands right next to you, and you won't even know it.
Yeah, the only I feel like name brand GMs are the bad ones.
Yep.
Like, everyone loves making fun of Dave Gettleman again. I'm sorry.
It comes with the territory.
And Jerry Reese, too. You guys have had a run.
You know, if we fixed offensive line way before it was going down, we would have been in great shape. But no, didn't even touch offensive line until it was too late. I'm not at all bitter about that.
Not at all.
But yeah, also like going back to the Scotty thing, you know, the way he had the situation being injured at the end of the 96-97 season, trying to put off the surgery, and once he realized that he wasn't going to get paid, he then decided late in the offseason to get the surgery done and kind of try to force the ball's hands, eventually led him to being think sign and trade deal with Houston, where then he finally got paid like he should have been. And after Houston, that didn't work out. Apparently, he didn't get along with Charles Barkley. Traded him to Portland, where I think Portland took most of the contract and then paid him some more. And then eventually, even though he said he wasn't going to come back home, Chicago played the last 2 years of his career. Chicago, I think, had like $10 million, and finally got like the money that he deserved.
Right? That was almost his whole contract for that 5 years. At least close to half.
Yeah.
It was like, what, 16 million? Something like that for those 5 years? 18 million? Somewhere around there.
I think 18.
So, yeah, he's getting 2.5 years of pay.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah, besides Jerry Krause just coming off like a complete fucking asshole, man. Like, they really killed him in these first 2 episodes. The only thing, even though we knew we were going to get this, is just Jordan's, just the way he thinks about competition is not the same as you or me. He's not a long ball type of guy. He's not where I feel like that's why the LeBron Jordan debate is the way it is, where it's so polar opposite. There's no one is like, oh, it could be LeBron or MJ. It's like, no, it's MJ or it's LeBron, and that's how it is. And I think it's because they're different in mindset, where LeBron is the one who thinks everything through, plays the long game, understands, like his first year in the Lakers, he said it going in. Yeah, we're probably not going to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
But we're going to sit back, we're going to build, and we're going to be that team in the years to come. And then you get Anthony Davis, and here we are.
Yeah. I think before the stoppage, number 1 in the West, if not number 2.
And then, but Jordan, his whole thing is, no, we're playing a game. We need to win this game right now. And that was his biggest problem with Jerry Krause, because they were trying to tank a season to rebuild and get into the lottery. And he's like, no, I'm playing, which brings me to my favorite quote I think I've ever heard in anything.
Oh, this is so great.
When they're talking about him coming back from the ankle injury, or was it ankle or foot? He broke his foot.
It was a foot. Yeah, he broke his left foot in his, I think it was his second year.
Right. He breaks his foot and he wants to come back, and he's playing pickup games at.
Oh, this is just crazy that he was able to pull this off.
First of all, they let him go back to college, which is crazy. Second of all, he starts playing games in secret, comes back, starts telling them they're playing games and saying, look, I can play. I've been doing it. Let me play. And I guess he finds out that he has a 90%, if he plays on it, there's a 90% chance that he won't like re-injure it. He'll just be able to keep going. And that was all he needed to hear. And he was like, yo, why am I not playing? It's 90% chance, like whatever. And then he was told, but if that 10% happens, it'll probably end his career. And again, was told, if I gave you a bottle of pills with 10 pills in it, and you had a headache, and 9 of those pills would cure the headache, and 1 of them would kill you, would you take the pills? And Jordan responds in the most classic Jordan line I think I've ever heard. Well, how bad's the fucking headache? I think that is just the biggest insight to Jordan's mindset of just whatever it takes. Whatever it takes right now. I'm not trying to play the long ball. I'm trying to do everything I can right now to make this team win, to get us another title. I will outwork you. I will outplay you. I will play through the pain. I will play through whatever it takes. I'm winning right here, right now. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I gotta drop some breaking news on you real quick. You ready for this?
Oh, I'm ready.
I don't think you're ready, but you need to sit down if you ain't ready. This just came across my phone. Patriots, Buccaneers, evolving a trade that will bring back Rob Gronkowski to reunite with Tom Brady.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa's right.
I mean, I'd heard people making rumors about that, like saying, "Oh, could Bronk be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer?" I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was the same thing last year. Oh yeah, Gronk's definitely coming back once we hit the playoffs. So, if they are working on an actual trade, who reported this?
Jay Glazer reports that that Gronk has already taken his physical, and the trade should be finalized within the next 24 hours. So 4/22/2020, Gronk could be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. A Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It's Jay Glazer. Like, I'll put him right up there with Adam Schefter.
I was about to say, if Jay or Shefty or Woj with basketball, like, if they say it, I believe it.
No. Yeah. I mean, forgive me. This is breaking news. Like, I'm still trying to confirm. No, Schefter. Yeah, so it's official. Gronk to the Gronk to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Tampa Bay Bradeneers, what?
Look, he took out 2 trademarks, Tampa Bay and Tampa Brady.
I saw that.
Of them.
I mean,
holy
smart
crap,
move
though.
for him.
Oh yeah, smart move.
Does this team need any more weapons? Jesus Christ! Why don't we just hand them the Super Bowl right now? It's gonna be nice to be able to root for Tom and Gronk though, because fuck Bill Belichick.
Fuck Belichick and the hoodie.
Stupid fucking napkin. I will say that every time. 2, you can't hate Gronk. He was the only Patriot that, even when I tried to hate him, like, I would hate him when he was playing against me, or I'd hate him when he was winning for the Patriots. But he just seems like just a very nice guy, just laid back, just doesn't take himself too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And it would just be nice to appreciate Tom Brady winning all these games and doing these incredible things and not just hating every second of it because he's playing for the Patriots.
Right. And, I mean, Gronk is kind of your ultimate happy-go-lucky frat boy, just going out there playing football, who, during the game, he's going to mess you up. But after the game, he's going to mess up your liver, because he's going to be like, hey, man, let's go out to this bar. And before you know it, sun's rising up, and you're looking at him like, Gronk, how are you still going? And he's like, I'm Gronk, baby. Keep partying.
I know, that guy's nuts. Wow, he's the WWE 24/7 champion.
Yep.
He's a 2-time, 3-time Super Bowl champion.
I think 2, 3. I don't know.
And he's about to pick up another one if this fucking trade goes down. 'Cause this is incredible. And then you just think about what my boy Todd Bowles did to the defense.
Oh, I forgot he's down there.
So, man, I don't even know. That is incredible.
Yo, are the Bucks now the new favorites in the NFC East? In the NFC, if this trade is official.
I thought they were already. I think they're favorites to win the Super Bowl outright, even with Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big addition for them. If Gronk can still play like Gronk. Because he was dealing with a lot of injuries. He was pretty banged up. But he's also had 2 years off.
Right.
So we can see how this plays out.
Question for you. O.J. Howard, what team does he end up with? Because there's no way they're keeping 3 tight ends.
Ooh. That's a solid question.
Right? Because he was already rumored to be tradable. And we all know he had a lot of drops last year and was injured. And when he was healthy, there were times when he wasn't even playing. I mean, he wasn't even getting any looks. Trust me, I drafted him in fantasy football, so I know all about that.
I did too. It was okay. But I ended up trading for Delaney Walker early, so I was worried. So I was good.
You lucky bastard. But yeah, like, what teams are kind of in need of a tight end right now? Who, when he's on, he can play well.
What's his contract looking like right now?
I feel like he's still on a rookie deal because, what is it, like year 3 for him? I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think worse comes to worse and they're not getting what they're looking for. They could always just release him.
Sure.
But yeah, if Gronk comes, I think his only saving grace could be, because a lot of teams do carry 3 tight ends, is that he's still on that rookie deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think if they came to him with the right like if someone came to him with the right package, they wouldn't even think twice about dealing him if Gronk came. But you never know. It's interesting to think about.
Oh yeah. We'll see if they make a move during the draft. Maybe put him in the package and, I don't know, get Trent Williams for from the Redskins to shore that line.
Could. All right. Any other points you have on the last dance, Dev? Or
sorry, yeah. Football news just kind of distracted me.
No, yeah, I get you. That was a big one.
Yeah, I had to break that right here. But going off to what you were saying about Jordan, giving the 10%, and the whole how bad is the fucking headache, what he did when it was just like when they first were like, all right, we're only gonna play you like 14 minutes per game, 7 minutes per half, and he's like, come on, man, like I'm good. And then he basically wheels them to the playoffs. And you playing big bad Boston Celtics, anchored by Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Danny Ainge, Dennis Johnson, like all future Hall of Famers, I believe. And game 1, even though they lose, puts up 49 points. Game 2, double overtime, I think he puts up like 63 points. I feel like for Jordan, that was kind of, and like good for the Bulls to take him off the restriction. But I feel like that was him being like, don't ever put me on a time restriction again. If I'm healthy, I'm healthy. And I'm going to destroy something.
I'm sorry to break back into this because I just got an alert to my phone now. Not only is Gronkowski going to the Bucks, apparently it's Rob Gronkowski and a 7th round pick for a 4th round pick. That's it.
Oh. Damn. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum.
That's incredible.
Oh, my goodness.
Things work out for Tom Brady, man. I swear.
Damn it, Tom Brady.
All right, back to your point. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, but to put up, 49 in game 1, 63 in game 2, like, whew, coming off a broken foot. Yeah, I felt like that's Jordan being like, I'm back. Don't ever put me on a time restriction ever again.
I mean, he was like that in the first place. He was just like, don't fucking put me on a time restriction.
But I feel like that was like the nail, like the final nail. That was just like, don't question me. I'm going to do what I got to do to win this game.
And I feel like that was the real nail in the cross for him and Jerry Krause, or nail in the coffin for him and Jerry Krause. I feel like that's when he was like, you know what? This guy's not looking out for the team's best interest. He's looking out for his best interest. He just wants the credit, and he's not trying to win games.
Yeah.
Which I get it. I get the appeal of something like that, but it's just a different mindset. A different mindset that is so hyper competitive that they can't even fathom the idea of we're gonna try to lose games.
Right. I mean, you hear it all the times with teams, saying that like, oh, we're gonna go out there and play hard, and we're gonna do everything we can to win the game. And then whether it be the coaching staff being told by management, hey, take out this player, don't play him for this stretch of time, and we're going to try, but we're going to lose the game at the same time.
Jordan didn't know shit about rest games, all right?
Yeah, that's true.
All right. I think that's all we got for them today, Dev.
I think so. I mean, that breaking news came right out of left field.
Yeah, this turned into a longer episode than I expected it to. All right, guys. So that was we are the Basement Boys. That was the Basement Boys podcast. And see ya.
Deuces.